It makes sense, but the bigger opportunity was with Grubhub. Postmates is really strong in LA, kind of strong in Phoenix and Miami, but Uber Eats is already 62% of the Miami market. They raised $2.4 billion fall of 2019. They're now getting acquired at 2.6. So their valuation has pretty much stayed the same.
Let's look at Uber. $2.6 billion, all stock deal. Uber missed out on the Grubhub acquisition, and now are going after Postmates. There needs to be consolidation. Instead of having a Grubhub Uber Eats consolidation, now you have 3 independent players, DoorDash, Grubhub, which merged with Just Eats in Europe, and now Uber Eats and Postmates. So now you have 3 players. This was the kind of compilation of their demand. Basically, you see Postmates is really strong in LA, kind of strong in Phoenix and Miami, but Uber Eats is already 62% of the Miami market. Phoenix, now Uber Eats and Postmates are going to have 43% of that. They're going to have parity with DoorDash. So, this is a mild, it's a small deal. It makes sense, but the bigger opportunity was with Grubhub. It still kind of confuses me, it baffles me a little bit why that deal didn't get done with Uber Eats and Grubhub. Maybe there was some ego and some cultural issues. Maybe Matt Maloney, CEO of Grubhub, didn't really like Dara, didn't like Uber. The Grubhub Just Eats deal continues to confuse me. It makes sense why Just Eats did the deal. But for Grubhub and, I don't know. It's all kinds of kind of bewilderment with that deal. The Postmates deal is minor. It's all stock deal. And the interesting thing, there's this CNBC interview here. You don't need to listen to it. The interesting thing from the interview was that she said that Dara, the CEO of Uber, said they're going to have 100% year over year growth in Q2 for Uber Eats. And I think that's pre-Postmates numbers, right? But let's look at Q1 of Uber Eats. So this is Q1 2019. They did about $3 billion GMV in Uber Eats. Okay. Q1 2020, they did 4.6, almost $4.7 billion in GMV. So you had about a 50% year over year growth. That means they're definitely going to be doing well over $6 billion in GMV. Uber Eats is in Q2 of 2020. That is a substantial growth. Now, ride sharing, we don't know what the downswing on ride sharing is going to be. The interesting thing, if you look at these two stocks, is you've got Lyft here. Lyft is up 4.4% today. Uber is up 6% today. And the market overall was up about 2%. Why do Lyft and Uber track so closely to each other, right? Like Lyft has no food delivery exposure. So Lyft is at a $10 billion market cap. Uber's at $56 billion market cap. You look at the performance of these stocks, and this is another thing that just continues to confuse me, is how closely these two stocks kind of mimic each other, but very different businesses in the sense of how strong this Uber Eats business has become a part of Uber, Uber, the platform conglomerate. So if you're looking here, if you're going to have $6 billion at least in GMV Q2 of 2020 for Uber, and I can guarantee you they're going to have less than $11 billion in GMV for ride sharing. That's for sure. I think that's going to be a pretty big hit. That is getting parity, Uber Eats, with now the Postmates deal. It's hard to understand exactly how much GMV Postmates has. If we look at some of the multiples, like GMV to valuation multiples pre-coronavirus, it's about a 1.6. Again, it's a rough number here. It's about a 1.6, kind of using DoorDash. Look at DoorDash's latest $600 million fundraise last year, 2019. They raised $600 million. think roughly a $12 billion valuation. They were doing about $7.5 billion in GMV. You had about a 1.6 multiple of GMV to valuation. So if you look at, I don't know, if you guesstimate here on Postmates, under $2 billion, interesting enough on Postmates is they raised $2.4 billion fall of 2019. They're now getting acquired at 2.6. So their valuation has pretty much stayed the same, which means to me that the growth, especially because of Corona and the shift to digital, has benefited the dominant platform players in food delivery like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and Postmates has kind of muddled along. But even if you say DoorDash has, say, $1.5 billion in GMV, Uber Eats is doing over $6 billion in GMV. This is quarterly, mind you. So if they're adding, I don't know, $400 or $500 million. Anyway, this number could be getting close to $7 billion on a quarterly basis for Uber Eats, which is going to start to have a lot of parity with their ride-sharing business because that's going to take a considerable hit. So it'll be really interesting to see Uber's earnings in a few weeks here. We'll be sure to cover that and do some more deep dives. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.